All right, still on the news at this time, we will, of course, be going back to the story of the tax waiver, where we understand that the chairman of the FIRS actually recently projected the 19.4 trillion naira targeted total tax collection for 2024, and also insisted that the fresh 2.7 trillion naira tax credit plan for road construction in the country by the Central Bank of Nigeria should be stopped. He further said that the program is laudable, but that the 2.5 trillion naira spent on it by the NNPCL should be exhausted before bringing fresh requests. Well, to make sense of this, I'm joined on the news right now by economist Akin Fatuke. Thank you for your time, Akin. All right.
Pleasure to be here, and good evening, Nigerians.
Great. Now, let's talk about the potential consequences of the abuse of tax waivers on income inequality and also social welfare in the country.
Economic sabotage, Dapo. It is clear, like crystal, that when these waivers on good pedestal are abused, so of course it's going to, in no small way, distort the economic deliverability of a very positive government to delivering the dividends of democracy. It's lack of accountability, there is the lack of transparency, it dissuades job creation, it leads to exploitation, and that will be killing local incentives. Nigeria is replete with local incentives that has brought people from outside this country, the Mark Zuckerberg of this world. You know, they have come and to say, look, we have Silicon Valley, we have call it the Nollywood. It kills that when we give waivers and incentives that we are now hearing. Please, let's put this in perspective. 17 trillion naira over time. I think it goes without saying that what we are trying to do here is just to make sure that we tailor and make sure that our taxes in this time that we are highly leveraged, by way of going to look for loans upon loans upon loans upon loans to carry consumption. It also helps in what I would like to describe as our non-fulfilled obligations to our people. You are hearing it, I'm hearing it. Having power, we are hungry. The whole country wants to go upside down. We are starved because revenue is starved. We are not producing enough. And if you allow this kind of waivers to continue to go on, they come on.
All right, Akin. Now, how does this abuse of tax waivers impact on foreign direct investment and the overall investor confidence in the country? Because we know that these waivers sometimes are usually incentives that are used to invite many of these multinationals or companies to come into the country. They're given waivers for some years, just for them to stabilize, and then they resume a tax regime. How do you think this move would impact on that confidence, particularly the inflow of FDI?
Naturally, I think it will help it in no small way. And if you look at the tax regime that we have always had in our country, the CIT, the company income tax, the value-added tax, the customs and excise duties in times past has been hugely, I dare say, abused. In 2006, I think it was, when we had the coordinating minister for the economy, Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, who is now in the World Trade Center. She was in the center of commissioning a study where they found out that so much money and discretion has been given to the executives at that time that, 3 years before that time, since we started, in fact, since we started our journey into democracy. I'm talking of a retired general and then President Obasanjo and his deputy. It was at their discretion, and it was not even subjected to go to the National Assembly. And as of 2006, he spoke about 705 or 706 billion that Mr. Okonjo-Iweala highlighted at that time that had been grossly abused. by presidents so far. Now, 8 years down the line, we are talking of 17 trillion. I mean, this is humongous. This is very shameful. And if that be the case, I dare say the notes that Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala left, because I expect that I am very sure that she will have left a note to say, look, on this tax waiver thing, this is the reason why we are going to put it off. 8 years ago, we just let the horse out of the barn and we went on there with reckless abandon. We are still talking of infrastructure projects too, good on paper, but not audited. Not audited. That item, I am a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'd like to say to you that as part of our normal routine audits for any of companies or individuals who show us that they have things like pioneer status as an example, we have to diligently look at them and make sure that we cross the T's and dot the I's. But accountancy profession, I dare say, I don't want to go into controversy here, has now been dovetailed. We have different boys and men that are doing different things.
All right.
They can be used, whims and caprices of the powers that be.
All right. I mean, let's one issue, of course, that has bedeviling quite a number of businesses in Nigeria is multiple taxation, which I don't think has been discussed enough, even on the floor of the House. What do you make of this? How can this be addressed?
I like to say that, well, they say the morning shows the day. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, one of the things that he decided to do was to look at the area of taxation. And when my friend Taiwo Oyedele came on board, can you have a holistic look at our tax system, multiple taxation that should be codified, taxation that we need to now apply fintech, apply technology to make sure that we are able to collect, making sure that those who are under the tax burden, okay, are not overburdened. It was a great thing. I haven't seen, and what I don't know, but I haven't seen that the first report perhaps might have been presented to Mr. President, perhaps. Even if not, we needed to have moved like yesterday. It is not entirely true, Dapo, that the National Assembly are not already discussing elements of this, our tax, even before President Bola Tinubu came on board. We have discussed, we have judged, but we have not had the courage to make sure we bring in people that should come into the tax net. Look at Obaze as an example. Obaze that is doing the forensics that we are doing. At one point in time, he was a very good friend in the Financial Reporting Council. And one of the things that he advocated for, plus or minus, is that all taxable units, whether you are religious institutions, whether you are going to shrine and you are going to Kija or you are going to whatever it is, should be subjected to making sure that you pay some element of tax and not the sitter saying that they should not be taxed. We have been discussing it. Now we have a situation where I think this present regime should not only, I repeat, should not only bring it like day before yesterday. I'm not talking about yesterday. Bring it like day before yesterday, and we begin to now reap fruits. Yeah, there will be a little bit of cry. I don't have our disposable income.
All right.
Earlier, we are not being paid and living wage and all that. That's notwithstanding. We must really understand the fact that our revenue base is low. Our trust deficit, though low, we need to bring it up, and the subnationals all put together.
All right, All right, Akin, just in 30 seconds before I let you go, can you discuss the potential impact of suspending tax waivers and introducing a rebating system, as suggested by the Senate committee, in 30 seconds?
Well, 30 seconds, I will just say it. I hope I will have a time and opportunity to come and maybe expatiate. In everything that is like good in Nigeria, by the time you bring in the manual human element, it gets abused. In the first short interim period, what Dangote, for instance, did on the Oshodi Expressway thing, which I think is good, needs to be audited. needs to be seen that we have value for money. That is one. Rebating system is a system whereby if you have overpaid your tax, if on a best of judgment perspective, you are supposed to have paid 60,000 naira and you found that you've been given 100,000 naira, there should be a rebate system that should help you to claim that. Now, my experience, my practical experience working with the National Assembly was so bad that withholding taxes during the time of Mrs. Ifeeko Omagwe, who was then trying to do a kind of revamping of the tax system, was that the tax system were not moving fast enough as we professionals. It nearly caused us a lot of trouble at that time. So with technology and ensuring that it's audited, and thirdly, take away the capacity of the executive president to willingly just give tax waivers, goes through the National Assembly.
All right, Akin.
All right, in very good state.
All right, Akin Fatuke, thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome, Dapo. It is well.